So you want to main Cernunnos, the Horned God. First, ask yourself, why do you want to main Cernunnos? You enjoy turning your enemies into a roast. You're good at managing things. Buffs. All the buffs. More buffs. You love buffs. You're quick and you react fast. But before you choose to main him, it's good to know the cons of Cernunnos. His ultimate can be easily avoided. Managing his first ability can take quite a bit of time. Cernunnos is a SMITE Celtic Hunter. SMITE has classified him as an average god, and I agree. I do find him pretty average, but mastering him can be pretty hard. If you're an experienced Cernunnos player, or you just love playing him, feel free to leave any tips down in the comments below. In this guide, we're exploring Cernunnos as a carry, going through his abilities, attack cancelling, combos, builds, counters, what not to do, and general combat tips. We'll be going through this guide from mostly a Conquest perspective, but don't worry, you can easily implement this guide into other game modes as well. To make this much easier for me and much shorter for you, we're just going to call him Cern for the rest of the guide. With that, let's go through Cern's abilities. Cern's passive, Heavy Glaive. Cern wields a glaive as a weapon. His basic attacks deal additional damage to all enemies in melee range. The additional damage from Heavy Throw does not trigger effects from items or abilities. It does not critical strike either. Straightforward passive, enemies who are super close range will be taking more damage. Cern's first ability, Shifter of Seasons. Cern's 1 is a buff ability type. Cern has the power of 4 seasons within his weapon. Activating this ability rotates through the 4 different seasons. Spring, bonus physical lifesteal. Great for when you want to heal up and you're low on health. Summer heat, bonus damage. Great for when you're attacking objectives and enemies. I would suggest using this when clearing as well. Autumn decay, reduced physical protections. Great for very tanky opponents and generally you want to start off with this season. Winter chill, slows for 1 second. Great for enemies you want to chase. It's good to note that you can combo these seasons. An extremely good Cernunnos can make use of multiple seasons, making it quite a mess for the enemies. Cern's second ability, Bramble Blasts. Cern's 1 is a projectile ability type. Cern fires a bramble in a line that roots a single enemy hit. Upon hitting an enemy, wall, or reaching max range, it would explode, dealing damage. It will also spawn an area of brambles at the location. This area deals tick damage for 5 seconds. This is Cern's main damage ability and clear. With this ability, it can be a bit tricky to clear the whole minion wave with it. To clear with this ability, you have to stand on the side and aim at an angle as shown here. Otherwise, if you hit it straight like some hunters can, it will just stop and not reach the back minions. Cern's third ability, Horn Charge. Cern's 3 is a dash ability type. Cern charges forward, damaging and crashing through all enemies. This ability is his main escape and chase. Cern's ultimate, the Wild Hunt. Cern's ultimate is a ground target ability type. Cern selects an area where the hunt will begin. After a 1 second delay, enemies in the area will be damaged. They will also be polymorphed into wild balls. Polymorph targets are silenced, disarmed, and slowed. Polymorph is not affected by diminishing returns. Now let's get into the leveling priority for Cern's abilities. For the first 5 levels, at level 1 his 2, at level 2 his 3, at level 3 his 2, at level 4 his 1, at level 5 his ultimate. If you are playing pretty passive or safe, feel free to grab his first ability before his third ability instead. For leveling priority, his second ability for increased damage and area damage, his first ability for increased stats to all of his buffs, his ultimate for increased damage, his third ability for increased damage and reduced cooldown. So basically, 2, 1, 4, 3. Attack cancelling for Cern. Attack cancelling allows for some extra damage. Basically, if you watch closely, it will cancel out some of the animation and go right into another basic or ability. This gives you consistent DPS and is not mandatory to learn if you don't want to. For his second ability on quick cast, as soon as you fire his basic, via his second ability. For his ultimate on quick cast, as soon as you basic, via his ultimate, continue his basics during the ultimate. Combos for Cern. Before we get into combos, a few pointers. Cern's ultimate has a 1-second delay. This gives enemies a lot of time to try and avoid it. With that in mind, it can be a bit tricky to pull up if you're playing against good enemies. I usually tend to place the ultimate toward the location they're jumping to. However, his ultimate is extremely good in teamfights for zoning or polymorphing enemies. If you can hit 1 or 2 enemies, that will take them out of the teamfight for the duration of the ultimate. I tend to find the ultimate best used when there is CC to set it up or if the enemy has their escapes down. His first ability does a lot, and an extremely good Cern would be able to switch to the ones needed quickly and efficiently. That being said, memorize what each season does and apply them to each fight and situation. Basically, always start in autumn for the protection reduction, switch to summer for maximum damage output, switch to spring if you find yourself in a pickle and you need some lifesteal, switch to winter if they turn around and try to run away. There are many different combinations and useful ways to use these seasons. It will be hard at first to apply them exactly to each situation, but you will learn it over time. It's important to know to keep basic attacking when switching your seasons. Some players tend to pause and then switch a season. Generally, you want to start in autumn, hit them once, then switch to summer for maximum damage output before every combo. Cern's combos are 2 and basics, 2 and 4. Builds for Cern. Builds always depend on what kind of enemies you're up against. My builds in this video are just a general guideline. You can adjust accordingly depending on your game and situations. For a Conquest build, Hunter's Blessing, Tier 1 of Devourer's Gauntlet, Ninja Tabi for attack speed or Warrior Tabi for power, Finished Devourer's Gauntlet, Executioner, Odyssey's Bow, Kin's Size, Titan's Bane. Other items you can build but not limited to are Runeforged Hammer, Bloodforge, Brawler's Beatstick for anti-heal. If you are playing another mode outside of Conquest, I would suggest switching out Devourer's Gauntlet for full Bloodforge and switch out Hunter's Blessing for Attacker's Blessing. For relics, Cern generally picks up Purification Beads and Aegis Amulet. Counters of Cern. Mobility abilities can counter his ultimate as there is a short delay. Beads and Magi's Cloak counter his second ability's Root and ultimate. Anti-heal items can counter his Spring Season and Lifesteal. Walls and body blocks can counter his second ability as they will stop on the first thing hit. Do not attack the minion wave head on. You must do it from an angle on the side. Do not ignore your first ability. It's so important, you must keep track of it. General combat tips for Cern. If attacked by close encounter gods, use your second ability on them and run around a net while basic attacking them. The tick damage will give you a little boost, plus the summer stands for maximum damage output, plus the passive. If you have forgotten, the passive does give him additional damage to all enemies in melee range. Try and bait out enemy escapes before using your ultimate. Remember to master his first ability. You will become so much stronger, like you haven't even seen his true form. This is the most important tip. You can use your third ability through enemies during fights to give you that extra push. But that does mean your escape will be down. Practice your basics. Cern relies so much on his basic attacks. If you are being chased, your escape is down and you think you might die, try fighting them with your Spring Season on your first ability. That one gives you lifesteal. You may be able to out-heal their damage and eventually kill them. This works best if you already have a full lifesteal item and if the enemy does not have an anti-heal item. There aren't many tips for Cern as he is such a straightforward god. Just really practice his first ability and basic attacks and you'll be extremely intimidating to fight. And that is all for the Cern guide. A huge thank you to Azure Justice for bringing us this Cernunnos guide. You're a real MVP and thank you so much for supporting a lot of my videos. And also a huge thank you to all of you. I have just reached 10,000 subscribers. That's 10,000 of you, and I'm so grateful to have you supporting my videos. If you have any ideas on what I should do for a 10K special, please let me know down below. If you would like to request a God guide or simply just to support me, you can find a coffee donation link in the description box below. Let me know what God you would like to main next in the comments. Subscribing and likes would be super rad, clicking the bell really helps me out. I hope to see you for the next one. Bye!